Hi everybody, this is Ali. I was going to try going live for the first time today, but I apparently can't. So I'm recording this for you. I wanted to share a little bit about my albums that I've worked on over the years. This is not all of them. These are my sleeve albums, like Project Life, that sort of thing. When I was out and about last week, I was speaking with someone at class, and I was looking at the layout they were doing, and I commented on the fact that they put multiple pictures on a layout that had been designed for one, which was fine. It looked gorgeous. And the comment that was made was that, yes, I'm at the point now where I just have to I've got so many photos, I just have to get them into albums, onto pages, that sort of thing. And I completely understand that because I've been there myself, which was why I originally changed over to the Project Lifestyle format, which is what I wanted to talk about today. But I found that it wasn't quite for me. Well, I think my mind tends to be a little bit, puts things in boxes, I guess, with restrictions. So this is the first album that I started working on with Project Life style pages. And this wasn't so bad because these were older pictures, as you can see, my aunt's black and whites. And I was able to, put them on the smaller cards, and the square ones fit on the 4x6 cards and everything. And that was not too bad. I quite like what I've created here. These are also my aunt's pictures, but they're going into, the 70s with colour. And once again, still okay. These are pictures of my brother when he was a newborn, and I'm not sure what size these are, but these were just these very tiny little ones. Once again, it was okay because I could stick them on the 2x3 cards. But when I got to the Polaroids, it started getting a little bit, I don't know, it made it very difficult. Some were easier than others. I mean, all the Polaroids I had to stick onto backing 4x6 cards to fit them in, and they do slide out quite a lot, which I'm wondering if that's why people use the fuse tool. I'm not sure. I haven't really delved into that yet. It's just a very busy time, and yeah, I was just trying to get them into albums. Okay, but yeah, I found it really restrictive working with the older photos. I can imagine working with new photos that are digital images. It's great because you can turn them and crop them and enlarge them and all that sort of thing to manipulate them to fit the pockets that you want them to fit. But working with the older photos, I actually found it quite hard. So I persevered. You can see this one. It just doesn't want to stay in. It's moving out all the time. Anyway, I persevered. I haven't finished all the writing. I started, like I said, getting a little bit cranky, and I just started poking pictures into pockets. But they're in, and that's a start. There's some writing that needs to be done. These ones here a little further on. That's another one. Some of them I've got multiple photos in a little pocket. And obviously I didn't want to stick them down, but I didn't need both photos. This one here I didn't want to stick down because it's sort of like memorabilia. So I've just got it slipped in there, and as a result it slips out. So yeah, work in progress on that one. I'm not going to be able to get this in now. There we go. Yeah, so you can see my struggle with these. These are ones waiting to be made into larger layouts. And so that's what I wanted to talk with you about today, where I progressed to. So then I was working on my territory album as it is. Oh, so this is, oh sorry, bad camera work. So then I moved on to what was my Instagram pictures that I printed off because they're in a batch. You can see here I've done a page with some of these are my Pixie photos. And these are from an older flip phone that took pictures in a smaller format. So I've put those in there. And once again, these are my Instagram photos. These were through a deal that I got from Artifact Uprising, so they are quite a large square. It worked out well that I actually had sleeves that would accommodate these, but it was a process of cutting the background cardboard and the paper and everything. So at this stage I was kind of feeling like it wasn't really just a chung 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 slip them in, which I kind of thought that it would be a faster process. But there was only 25 of the prints or something, so I made it work. And then this is a picture that went on Instagram, but it's not the Instagram picture, and I did it up as a layout, and the same there. And these are the pictures here in the square prints, as you can see. So I did those, and then I've made a little bit of a, well, that's empty, needs something to go there. I did a bit of a cover page, if you like, and these are my Instagram pics now. And just keeping in mind, this is the very beginning. It takes me a while to get my head around things, so it's really, really basic. But this is just to show, you know, that everybody starts somewhere. And yeah, it was a real struggle, like mentally, to do it how I wanted to. But you know, I went through, I made sure, I think I bought all the sleeves out of the shop that had square pockets. I bought them up to make sure I had enough, and went through and did them all. And then as I've gone on a bit, there's still writing that needs to be done, journaling, in some of the later ones. Oh, that's when Lissa met Nathan Fillion. There she is. Woo. Oh, that's Eden with his hair straightened. Yep, so that was my second one, which is, you know, not too bad. People progress on to some really highly decorated project life cards, but I mean, it's really just as complicated or as simple as you want to make it, I guess. You know. Okay, so that's that. And yeah, towards the end there's still some stuff that needs filling in. So that's that one. And then at the same time, I was working on my first lot of Northern Territory. Well, actually, it's not the first, it's the second lot of Territory photos. These glitter covers are gorgeous, but they show any and every mark. I also gifted one to a friend when I did her wedding photos, and it got quite scratched on the front. A little disappointing, but anyway, these are my Territory photos. Now these are a lot more of the same, and so it's reflected in the way that I've put them in the albums, but I'm keeping in mind that further on when we're in places like Catherine and everything, we've got some really beautiful photos where the kids are in the waterfall and everything. And they're ones, I've scrapped a couple of the pictures previously for Masters when that was still running. And so I'll scrap those again, you know, to go in here. But this is also largely about the journaling and recording the trip. So these ones I've just kind of, yeah, just fired them into the pockets, and picking the Project Life cards, you know, out of what I have to best highlight the photos, with a mind to doing the later ones in the way that I'm gonna, putting the album together in the way that I'm going to show you that I do now. So these are all ones like very early. I've probably done them 2 years ago, or at least started them 2 years ago. Oh, you don't want to see pictures of the boys weeing in the outback. And I don't even think this is one memory card. So I took about 2,500 photos on this trip. It was crazy. But you can see a lot of them are repeated, and they're repeated because we're taking pictures with kids, and as well in order to, well, we couldn't get the whole family in the shots, so we had to swap out over who was taking the pictures. There's the Olgas, there's Uluru, just about my favourite place in the world, I reckon. I'd be back there tomorrow if I could. Anyway, so you get the idea. So this is how, once again, you know, the pictures of the rock, if it's sunrise and sunset, it's changing from like millisecond to millisecond, the light and everything. So it's just a lot of pictures. If I wanted to, the way that I do my albums now, I could take, you know, one of these pictures and enlarge it and do a layout of it and everything. And I may still do that in the future. There's room for that, or one with the boys in it, something like that. And yeah, I haven't finished the journaling again, but that's okay. It was more just about filling the holes and getting it in there. See my picture slipping out. This is about as adventurous as I've gotten with a Project Life card, but hey, baby steps. And then this is where we finish, and that's fine. So that's Alice Springs, and then after that will be things like Devil's Marbles and everything. But yeah, the pictures really start getting good when we're at Catherine. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And so then at some point I started a process of, as well as the old pictures, there's the first digital pictures that we took. And, you know, the cameras weren't that great. The quality wasn't that great. There's a date stamp on them, which I don't like. Anyway, so I went through, and there wasn't as many because it was just new to us. So I went through the folders, because I'm very organized on the computer, and printed them off, the early ones, and getting them into albums. And so I haven't put the cards in yet, but the goal of this was just to get the photos in the albums, because this is what I was discovering. The photos are on the computer, and you know, the part of kids love looking at the photos, particularly of themselves, of the people, but I found my kids didn't even really know anything about themselves or our past, because our pictures, these ones, either the older photos were in boxes because we'd removed them from albums to get them out of those old sticky albums and the plastic sleeves that were no good. And they were sitting in photo boxes waiting to be placed in albums, waiting to be scrapbooked. But I didn't want them touching the photos, you know, when they weren't protected in any way. And then the other pictures, the more recent ones, they're digital, they're on the computer, and you're not really sitting there flicking through photos. Oh, Matt on the potty. And so they weren't looking at them, and they didn't know anything about themselves and our family life that they couldn't remember. So I went through and I printed them off and I put them into sleeves, you know, knowing full well that I wasn't going to have the time to fill these cards in for now, but that I will do in the future. And this way, you know, I've shown all the kids where they are now in the bookshelves, and they are quite welcome to go through there and pull them out and have a look at them. And these are birthdays and you know, my husband leaving for Africa and all of that stuff. And they grab them down now and they flick through, and it doesn't matter that the cards aren't there, because that's also an opportunity for them to ask me about the photos, because it's not, the story isn't written there. And they love seeing, this is our house when we first bought it, and our yard looks nothing like that now, and they love seeing this, you know, because they'd either forgotten, or for the children that came after we bought it, they, you know, it was before their time. So, and seeing photos of Gramps, I mean, we forget what people look like, especially after they pass away. And yeah, so that was the next evolution, if you like, of how I put my photos together into their albums, was just to get them in the sleeves. I've got the sleeves sitting there in boxes. I've got the photos printed. They're in order, or they're in groups because of the way I've had them printed. And so I'm just chucking them in the sleeves and putting them in the album so that people can actually view them. That's the next step. So that's that one. From there, especially with the more recent photos that are ones that you can more easily choose, you know, what's going to be enlarged and what's not and everything. This is where I've progressed to now. So same thing as that one over there, just printing the photos, or they're already printed, they're already in their collections, they're already in order, whacking them in the sleeves. But having chosen the ones that I want enlarged, either at the time of printing or as I'm putting them in afterwards, and then going back and getting it enlarged, and then putting those ones straight into a 12 by 12 sleeve, as you see here, because these are ones that I've highlighted, irrespective of the size of the print, that I want to scrapbook on a more elaborate sort of page, to better tell the story. So here's the photo I chose to enlarge to make my cover page, because this is an album that is 2 parts. The first half is portraits that I took in 2013 when Sylvie was 1. So this is all 6 kids together. And I've made the cover page, and then I've gone through and I've just slipped all the photos in sleeves, pulling out the ones that I want to scrapbook in a 12 by 12 format. And some of them, even though it's a 12 by 12, I may still put multiple pictures on one page. But yeah, this is just how I've done it. So this was my lovely Kaisercraft layout that I did when I tested out Scrap Witch Lisa's stenciling technique. This garnered me a lot of attention online because I finally managed to make a stencil work. Thanks, Lisa. Yep, love this one. So you can see here the photos, and we're just waiting for the pockets, whether it's, you know, what would you call it? Decorative little pockets, or the journaling cards, you know, whatever. There's a lot of stories to be told from this, because Sylvie kept toppling backwards and walking towards the camera like a little baby zombie there, as you see, having us laughing and carrying on. These are my pictures that, you know, I've highlighted that I want to, that I've enlarged and popped in the 12 by 12 ready to be scrapbooked. And for those of you thinking, well, you don't go back to it, well, you do. Well, I do, because hashtag I'm a finisher. And so you'll see that I'm making my way through, even though I haven't done these ones. I have scrapped ones further on. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish saying. These are portrait photos I took of the kids in 2013, and the second half of the album is my niece's cake smash. All the photos together. of that. So this was a Scrap the Girls monthly challenge entry. I may end up redoing this because it was a bit of an experiment with shimmer powder and it's coming off on the sleeve. So it's a shame. I really love the page, but we'll see how that goes. Good thing these are just, you know, prints. I mean, they're originals, but they're prints. I've got the original digitals. And there's Eden's photo sitting on the other side waiting to be, you know, scrapped the same way. And then flicking through pictures of the boys, pictures of the girls, which I can't wait to get to. And then this is the layout that I did of my boy Matt using Kaiser paper when I was on retreat last year. I realised I hadn't scrapped him as much as the other kids. Everyone's always ready to scream favouritism, so I scrapped a photo of him. And then I've gone through, and this is the, I guess, cover page for the pictures of my niece's cake smash. So I've scrapped that one, and then there's another one there waiting to be done, and there's her other little 4x6 pictures waiting to be journaled, and the little sleeves filled in and everything. Love these photos, and the cake and everything. And there was another one, my winning entry for Scrap the Girls last year was in here, but I framed it because it's such a beautiful layout. But so that is how I'm addressing wanting to get photos in albums, wanting to get them scrapped a lot quicker. It is much easier to, it's like compartmentalizing the process. You know, one day you sit down with your photos, you've got your cover, you've got your sleeves, you've got your pics, you sit there and you just fire them in how you want them. Highlight the ones that you want to scrapbook in a 12x12 format. If, you know, you've only got a 4x6 and you want to enlarge it, slip it in there anyway, you know, so that you've got your note ready to go. And then come along afterwards during another time when you're in a, I don't know, I tend to work on moods, I suppose. Different mood, or depends what's happening around you. Maybe you're sitting at the table with someone having a coffee and you just want to slip your journaling cards in, and once they're in, and then you can sit there with your phone like I do and go through dates and everything and write your stories and everything. Or another time you actually want to scrapbook, so that's when you pull out your picture waiting to be turned into a 12x12 layout. And so this is really working for me. And then as well, other pictures that I want to scrapbook that I'm doing in a 12x12 format that aren't part of these albums that I'm trying to put together, I have covers there that just have my 12x12 pages in sleeves, keeping them safe, keeping them still accessible in the bookshelf for the kids and everybody else to look at, but they are waiting to be put into an album in chronological order when I get to where they're supposed to be. So that's how I do it, everybody. If you're struggling to get your photos off your computer or out of your photo box and into albums because of lack of time, I hope this helps you get through them a little bit faster. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. I hope this video worked. Catch you later. Bye.